everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and it's time to add some new acquisitions to the ever-expanding comic book vault. Let's get right into it. Today we're going to start with the real Manos' Red Knight number 4, Justin Cristelli, and once again, J.C. Grande. Glad to see Grande still on this book. Like I said, he's been on for 4 issues so far, and he is still doing the really cool dot patterns that he started in issue 3. I really like that in a black and white comic. It's adding a lot of texture. It's making it it's adding a lot of variety, and it's something I had never seen in a comic book before. Praised it a lot in issue 3. It's still great here. Hope he keeps using it if he's staying on the book. And I got to be honest with you, I hope he's staying on the book. So I got this a couple weeks ago from Manos. Totally forgot to do it last week. Really sorry about that. So wanted to talk about it now. First off, the cover. Manos did this cover contest where he he ended up with fan art for both the front and the back, and I saw all the other fan covers, and he got some great stuff. Here, he ended up with James Harmon and Carson Einson, and they're both fabulous covers. I totally agree with them for using Harmon's for the front, but the back is really cool too. I really like this image of Red Knight and some of the other characters as playing pieces on a chessboard in front of the city. It's really cool. This is, I have to say, so far my favorite issue. I think that the plotting on this is really cool, and I like the premise, and I think that this is Justin's strongest dialogue so far. This also, of the 4 issues we've had so far, I think best illustrates the idea of the tagline of this book, which is the last optimistic man in a cynical world. And the idea with this one is that there are a couple of air quote superheroes that are working outside of the superhero act that that if you haven't read this book, the idea is that there are only a handful of superheroes that are actually sanctioned by the government, and it's sort of like Watchmen, really. There are only a few superheroes that are actually sanctioned by the government, and everybody else is not allowed to be a superhero unless they get permission from the government to be a superhero. And Red Knight is operating right now from something that happened in the 3rd issue, outside of that, but with Martha's protection, and she's a detective that's helping him out, and is actually kind of using him to, well, not in a bad way, they're friends, but you know, is using him to help her out with the crime in Norfolk. So what you get here is these new superheroes. One of them is called Handquake, which I think is a hilarious name for a superhero, and the other one is, what is his name? He's got this I-beam thing that shoots people, and he's a Death Ray Dick, I think is his name, which is another just great, hilarious name for like a kind of like a B-list type superhero. And they're not really superheroes. What they actually do is they just go out and they set up crimes. They set up people that they think are kind of bad to do crimes, and then they attack them and manhandle them and hurt them really badly, and then brag about it on their YouTube channel. And I think that's hilarious, especially Manos being a YouTube personality, writing in YouTube stuff. He doesn't call it YouTube. He actually calls it Looky-Loo, which I think is amusing, but he actually writes in YouTube stuff, and you don't know that they're doing this partly for a YouTube channel until you get to this place at the bottom of like the 2nd page where a Death Ray Dick says, "Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to keep updated on the revolution." Totally cracked me up. The book completely had me at that point, and I think the whole thing is really well put together. I really like the idea that Red Knight is saying, well, maybe they really are being helpful. I mean, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to be this guy that's working outside of the law and not letting other people do that if they're good at it and they ought to. And of course, I won't give away how it all goes, but I think it's a great premise. It's handled really well. And again, Manos' best dialogue. Some funny lines, funniest lines in the series so far. I think this is absolutely fabulous. What a great issue. And then you get to the end, and there are even a couple of little 1-page backup, or actually, sorry, 2-page backup features. Okay, one of them is a 2-pager and one of them is a 1-pager, giving us the quick origin stories of some of the characters, of some of the superheroes that actually are sanctioned by the government. One of them is a robot named Merrimack, who I think is absolutely fascinating and should totally get his own book if Manos ever gets around to giving him one. I would really like to read at least a mini with him, and I really like that he's called Merrimack because he's from this planet of robots, and when he crashes on Earth, he actually crashes like right in front of the Merrimack Tunnel, and so that's what they. So then they name him Merrimack. I think that's really funny. And then the other one is a female character named Half Moon, who is a superhero but also a TV star simultaneously, and doesn't have a secret identity. She just does both in her secret identity, which I think is funny. And also the Merrimack one was drawn also by Grande, and I really like that he's using a slightly different style there, but it works really well with the character. Anyway, great book, fantastic, a lot of bang for your buck for $2.99, and I really enjoyed that. I wanted to spend a little bit more time on that in New Acquisitions because I wanted to make sure that people got a sense of what was in that book, because I haven't talked about Red Knight in a while, and I want to make sure that I gave it its due. So I'll go a little bit more rapid fire with the rest this week. Just got 4 new issues of regular stuff, starting out with Before Watchmen, Rorschach number 1 of 4, Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo. This was the one of Before Watchmen that I was most looking forward to, and it's okay. Once again, the Before Watchmen books have not really thrilled me, and Bermejo's art, as usual, is fantastic. Azzarello's writing is not. Maybe I need to give it a second read, but it's not what I'm used to. It's not as. I don't think it's as cutting and as tight is normal. What I do like about this book is that it does seem to be telling a single story in the miniseries and isn't just trying to like gap fill like some of these other Before Watchmen books are. The other 2 I've been reading seem to just part of their point seems to be like showing us stuff that sets up things in Watchmen, and I didn't really need that. I kind of just wanted a story with those characters. This is that, and that's really good. I'm just not real taken yet with the story. Maybe I will as it goes along. But it's pretty much just Rorschach up against some gangbangers, drug dealing, and they actually, the interesting part is that they actually set him up to come and find him, and then scary things ensue from there. One thing I'm not sure about is that in Rorschach's journal, and even in his regular speech, he doesn't have the clipped sentences as often, or really hardly at all, like he does in Watchmen. He does say herm a couple times and that sort of thing, and I'm not upset that we're not getting, like, I'm not saying we've got to have his trademark stuff all the time. I'm just saying that Rorschach does speak often in clipped sentences, both in his journal and in auditorily. And I think that one thing that disappointed me about this was just that it sounded like Azzarello writing Rorschach rather than just Rorschach. I'm used to Azzarello's writing. This sounded like Azzarello, and that didn't really impress me. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. The art is beautiful, as always with Bermejo. It's a really rough book because it's Watchmen, and so they're making them really rough books. But so anyway, be careful that your kids aren't reading this. But anyway, so I don't know. I'll keep on it though. I will probably buy the rest of this mini and I'll review it, and we'll see if I like it more as it goes along. Again, it's a setup issue, so maybe I'll get excited about it later. The next thing I want to talk about is IDW's The Crow number 2. Didn't get a chance to talk about number 1 when it came out, so I'm going to talk about this. I got kind of excited that IDW put out a Crow series, and I have never really read Crow in comics, but liked the movie quite a bit. I know the basic premise, so I thought I'd give this a try. This is pretty good. The story is a little bit convoluted. I don't know if this is supposed to be a monthly or just a miniseries, but it sure comes off like it's a monthly, and there is an awful lot of plot just thrown at you constantly. I'm not saying that it's not character-driven enough. I do feel like I get into the heads of these characters and I know who they are, but I do find myself having to really keep track of who's where and what's going on, and there's a lot of there's a lot of intrigue going on with like, big corporations and that kind of stuff, and it's kind of a lot to keep track of. And I think maybe what makes it a little bit difficult is just the art, which is pretty. It's very stylized. It's just that sometimes I feel like some of the characters look a little bit too similar, and so it's little bit difficult to tell who I'm looking at when. This version of the Crow is because, you know, different people can become the Crow. The idea is you die and then you come back to avenge your death, and generally, from what I've seen so far, somebody else is usually a lover, and then you can see through the eyes of the Crow, which is the thing that brings you back, and it's kind of fascinating. What happens here is that there's, as I understand it, there's an American that is living in Japan and is dating a girl, and she gets killed, but not in the normal way. What's really weird about this is that she gets killed because there's this elderly woman who's really rich and owns this giant corporation, or is part of a giant corporation, I'm not real clear on that, who has developed a way to and she has cancer and she's about to die, and she has developed a way to get her mind and her soul, and they make a big deal out of the fact that those are two different things, into a younger person's body. And so this guy's girlfriend, that's who she chooses, and this is all in the first issue, so I'm not spoiling anything here. That's who she chooses, and then she puts herself in that girl's body, and that's how that girl dies. The thing is, the people, and this has been done to a few people by different people with this corporation, the people that happens to, their souls are kind of wandering the earth. They can't cross over. And then there's this, like I said, there's this big thing about, for some people, like, their minds get moved over, but not their souls, and that's why they're wandering around. And I'm not sure exactly what that means. I don't know if their brains are being like completely transplanted into the other person's body, because if it's not their brains, then I don't entirely understand the difference between a mind and a soul. So again, it's a little bit convoluted and also fascinating all at the same time. I love the voice for the Crow in this. This is by, let me make sure I get this right. This is by John Shirley and art by Kevin Colden. And Shirley has a great voice for the Crow. Reminds me a lot of what he sounded like in the movie. But of course, he's a different character, and he does have his own voice. He just has a bit of a similar kind of cutting sarcasm. And once again, it's a rough book. It's a really adult book. There's not too much swearing for my taste, but it definitely fits the material. And I do kind of question, but maybe this isn't fair because I think every version of the Crow always has this. I always kind of wonder why every version of the Crow paints his face the same way, because in the movie it seemed like, and I don't know if this is true of the comic because I never read that, but in the movie it seemed like part of the idea of the face painting had a lot to do with the kind of music that the guy before he died, because he was like a heavy metal rocker, and it's kind of weird when people become the Crow and they do that anyway, but they don't have that same background. The first issue does a really good job, by the way, of setting up the relationship between the guy who becomes the Crow. I don't remember these characters' names right now because it's a brand new book and I just read it. But this guy who becomes the Crow and his girlfriend, it spends a good amount of time getting to know them and making them seem like a real couple, and making us, feel kind of bad when she dies, and all that's done really well. So so far I think it's quite good, and I'm going to keep on it for now and see where it goes. Next up, AVX number 10. Don't have a lot to say about this one, mostly because the really important stuff that happens is right at the end, and I'm not sure I should give it away. I guess all I should say is Cyclops gets super angry because we have the Phoenix version of Cyclops here, and it's, by the way, from last issue, it's just him and Emma Frost left of the Phoenix Five, and they're it. And Cyclops kind of goes nuts, and Hope discovers a superpower that she didn't know she had. It happens at the end, but there's really good setup so that we can tell that it didn't happen out of nowhere. We're going to get the reveal soon as to, it's not here, but soon, as to why exactly that happened. She's being trained by Iron Fist, and that seems to maybe have something to do with it. Magneto is finally taking a majorly important role in this, and has kind of a reveal at the end that I also can't give away. So I don't know, it's just pretty much all the big stuff happens right at the end of this. It wasn't the hugely super exciting issue that last issue was. This is mostly setup stuff for big confrontations to come, and felt, and it's starting to feel like it's really kind of winding down now. We're really getting to the denouement of this thing, which is good, because, this is issue 10, so there's only 2 more left. And they're putting out issue 11 in 4 weeks, instead of 2 like it has been, so we have to wait a little while, and I'm kind of impressed with them for that, just because at the end of this I really do want to know right now. So it's kind of neat that I actually am going to anticipate it for 4 weeks and care to see where it goes. Can't say much more about it. It's still quite good. Not as much fun as 9, but important. So lastly, Daredevil number 17. This issue is really fun. What this does is it's kind of just a flashback issue that goes back to another time in Matt Murdock's life when he had a really difficult time with Foggy Nelson and when they almost came to blows. And it's pretty much just him at the beginning of this, standing on a roof, thinking about the issues from the problems from last issue, where Foggy Nelson had found, if you'll remember, a box with the dead remains of his father and in his office, and Matt doesn't know how they got there, and Foggy Nelson thinks that he is either crazy or lying to him, and either way he doesn't want him around, so he tells him to not just to get out, but to lose his phone number. And so Matt's standing on a roof thinking about things, and we get this really interesting episode. This is a good one and done. If you've not been reading Daredevil, if you want to see, if you still have been thinking about it and want to see what Wade's doing with this, this is a good issue to jump onto and read, because it's a story all by itself, and it's about Stiltman, and we see an early adventure in Matt Murdock's life, that's supposed to kind of look like the Stan Lee days, and when he fought, the crazy, weird B-list villains like Stiltman, and he and Foggy are having a really difficult time in their firm, and Foggy is keeping something from him, and then at the end, you find out that Foggy actually had a really good reason to keep something from him, because he didn't want to give his hopes up for something that has to do with his blindness. That's all I'm going to say. So, yeah, like always, still a really, really great issue, and looking forward to seeing what happens with him and Foggy. I also really like the idea that, and this is given to us at the end, but I don't think this is giving away anything plot-wise. You really get the sense that even though all these horrible, horrible things are happening to Matt, he still really likes his life now compared to the way it used to be, and I love that. Wade has such a good handle on how to make all these horrible things happen to him and keep him still sympathetic and keep Matt still having a good sense of perspective. And I was really, really impressed with that. Anyway, that's it with new acquisitions for this week. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you ever have anything you want to send us in the mail to review, me or Vince, you can always send us stuff to our P.O. Box. That's Geekvolution, P.O. Box 14183, Lenexa, Kansas 66285. We're happy to review single issues, trades, anything you like to send us, anything you have laying around that you don't feel like reading again, or something you're just itching for us to review that you think we might not have. And feel free to PM us if you have any questions about anything like that. Thanks as always for watching. I'm Captain Logan, and happy reading.